This week, the name on the marquee, I guess, has got to be Nassourdine Imavov, who this past weekend at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, at UFC Fight Night, Dolidze versus Imavov, defeated the Georgian Roman Dolidze by a majority decision. The scorecards read 47-47 even, and the other two judges gave it to Imavov 49-44 and a 48-46 mark. Give us your thoughts. First, it was a closely contested battle between these two big boys. What are your thoughts? Do you think the rightful man won the fight, and your thoughts on the fight overall?
Oh, I don't think there was any question whatsoever as to who won the fight. I thought it was pretty dominant. Going into it last week, I thought the technique of Nassourdine Imavov would carry the day. But man, I think that may have even surpassed my expectations. Like, Roman Dolidze had nothing for him. I'm not sure even what his plan was going into that fight, other than to try to hold Imavov against the cage. It didn't seem like he had any other thought until he finally threw caution to the wind a bit late after he got caught with that illegal kick. But I mean, this thing was all Imavov. He was really damn close to the finish in round one, but Dolidze is a tough motherfucker. You got to give him that. That combo that Imavov dropped him with was so filthy. Landed the right straight, then a left knee to the body, and the two hard follow-up left hands to drop him. And he really tried to pour it on. He said after the fight that it drained him a bit, the way he pushed for that finish, and you could tell. But even still, he pieced Dolidze up all fight long. He landed a lot of shots that I think would have hurt most guys more than they were hurting Roman, because Roman is just kind of like a block of stone in there.
Yeah.
But Lorisenko said it best, I thought. She said at one point, if you're going to fight the style of fight where you're just in the center staring at each other, the guy with the speed and the technique on his side is always going to win. And that's what we saw. Dolidze, other than when he would try to press him against the cage, didn't really bring anything else. Like I said, until finally late when he tried to disrupt the rhythm and really turn it into a brawl, which he should have done a lot sooner. But for the most part, Imavov just showed himself to be at a different level. I thought it was a clear win for him and a statement win. And frankly, I didn't think it was a great showing from Roman Dolidze.
Omar, bringing you in here, what are your thoughts of the performances of both of these middleweights and your thoughts on the result and the scores?
Yeah, I actually thought Roman Dolidze didn't look great at all. I thought from jump. He seemed really tentative. He didn't really seem like he had that forward pressure that I feel like he's known for. There were moments where he was standing completely still, which I feel like is very not him. So he was a little out of character, I felt like, throughout that entire fight. And I thought Imavov did what he is normally doing. I think there were frustrating moments in the fight, especially during, clinching exchanges. There were a lot of striking exchanges that led directly into the clinch, and it's just, there was a lot of mess in that fight as a result of it, I thought. And I thought I give Dolidze credit because I thought he lost that first round pretty handedly, and then he tried to come back a little bit in the second round. I thought he kind of won that second round, but after that, I think it just really went downhill for Dolidze. He got beat on quite a bit in the first round, and although he came back in the second round, I thought it just got worse for him as the rounds progressed. 4 was obviously a mess because of that head kick with the hand down, which is another example as to why we need to get rid of that rule completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, by the end of that fight, there was no question to me that Imavov had won that fight, and won it handily from what I felt.
Yeah, I meant to say there's no way you could justify scoring that a draw, because even if you gave round 2 to Dolidze, and then you ended up giving him round 4 as a 10-8 because you had him winning that round plus the deducted point, Imavov still won 3 and 5 and should have had a 10-8 in round 1. So either way, Imavov still wins that fight. The dude that scored it a draw didn't give Imavov a 10-8 in round 1, which is absolute bullshit in my opinion.
Well, Sal D'Amato didn't give him a 10-8 in round 1 either, but he also didn't score any other round for Dolidze.
Yeah, I don't know how you say that round 1 is not a 10-8. I really don't.
It was
and
a bad
it's interesting
round.
how right on the heels of the news of which commission is going to look to change the
California.
the down
Yeah.
California.
California. It's Andy Foster that's heading that.
That's right.
little thing up.
What is it? It has to be weeks after that announcement, and then we see a perfect example of why that rule change should be changing in this fight right here, because Dolidze had a few fingers down.
Yeah, and then dude,
might not have even been 5.
Imavov had like 4 more chances after that where he could have done the same shit. Like it kept presenting himself, and you saw him like freeze and be like, "Nope, can't do that," and like throw a punch instead. But he, like, if that was legal, he could have blasted him that way a bunch of times.
And see, like it's situations like that where if you don't want to get blasted in the face, then you should be forced to put a knee on the floor. Then you know what I mean. Like you have to give up your base, and you can't be
like pull guard.
You can't stall the fight with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely needs to get changed. And even when it does get changed, I think there will be sort of an adjustment period for all of us, because there's going to be a few finishes that were like, whoa, like a year ago that would have been very illegal.
Yeah.
And now it's fine. Like I think of the Mighty Mouse versus Moraes 2, where he got finished with the knee on the ground.
Yeah.
It was nasty.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's resume.
Yeah, and that felt weird for all of us.
It did, because we're all mostly watching, UFC, and we see this one with the different rule set here. Okay, let's talk about the winner here, Nassourdine Imavov, the Parisian. Where does he go from here? Picking up another nice win in the middleweight division, Mark.
So as good as he looked here, and he did, like this was the win that I feel like he needed to justify the way that he gets talked about. Like I feel like people talk about and rank Imavov as if he already had a performance like this, and to me, he had not. So I feel like now finally the way he's talked about and the number next to his name are justified coming out of this. So to me, he needed this one, but as good as he looked, I think he's still kind of like a full rung below everyone who's above him right now. Like I think the UFC has him at 8. You go one spot above him, we're into like Brendan Allen and Vettori and Cannonier and Costa. And I just feel like all those guys are, as I said, like a rung above. They've all proven more. So I'm going to say he needs to get the loser of one of those fights that are happening above him. So I'll say either the loser of Allen Vettori or the loser of Whitaker Costa would make sense for Imavov.
Omar, any other thoughts?
That's literally the picks I had. So there's that.
I love it.
Same page.
Yep.
Okay, Mark, going back to you now for what to do next with Roman Dolidze. He didn't look great in this win. He made me look bad with my pick, but that's for another conversation. What are your thoughts?
So he still is at number 10 in the UFC rankings. I'm actually curious where he's at in mine because I don't think he's on my fallers. I don't think he fell enough for that, but let's see. Yeah, he's 11 in mine. But I'm going to bet that he fights a non-ranked fighter in his next fight. I just don't think the UFC will have liked what they saw from him on Saturday. So I think we're going to see at least a little bit of a step down. So I'm going to say it's someone who's kind of just outside that area, and I will go with one of either Andre Muniz or Ikram Aliskerov.
Ooh. Omar, any other ideas?
I'm kind of in the same vein as far as making him a rung on the ladder right now for somebody else. And I think the winner of Fluffy Hernandez and Roman Kopylov would be a fantastic person to be climbing up that ladder.
Yeah, it's going as well.
Okay.